Welcome to the first game of the Seattle Tempest and San Diego Super Bloom season. We are kicking off the third year of the Western Ultimate League. My name is Charlie Mercer, and I am here with the incredible Val Panios. We are so excited for this game. Val, what are you most looking forward to in this game unfolding in front of us?
Hey Charlie, yeah, I'm really excited to be here. I'm honestly just excited to see two really deep teams bring it to each other. I know there's a lot of history here, and I love to see a bunch of baller athletes doing their thing, so I'm pumped.
Yeah, I think this game has so much oomph behind it. You can see the coin toss happening here to determine who will start on offense and defense. The thing that's in my head as we gear into this game is that the 2022 and 2023 WUL seasons for both of these teams started and ended with each other. In those four matchups, Seattle Tempest has come out ahead all four times, which means that Super Bloom absolutely has a chip on their shoulder. What do you think we're going to expect out of Super Bloom coming into this game?
Yeah, I mean, I think that if they're thinking about the system the way that I would be, I think they're just gonna, be focused on their game regardless of what Seattle's doing. There's been a big turnover on the Seattle roster, and I think the best way to navigate that is to just stick to your game plan and do your thing. And I know that the Super Bloom is super deep and has a ton of talented players, and I don't think there's been a lot of turnover for them. So I'm excited to see what they do this year.
So taking a look at this Super Bloom roster, there are the roster that is on the screen is for Utah Wild, not for the Super Bloom roster. But thinking about some of the significant additions for Super Bloom, they have gained a couple of players from the Los Angeles Astra, including, tell us who those additions are.
Yeah, we've got Hannah and then Helm and Bile coming from the Astra to the Super Bloom. And I know for Hannah, they previously played on Super Bloom and then went a year with Astra and are back on Super Bloom. So I know the coaching staff is excited to have Hannah back, and I'm excited to see what she does.
And noteworthy, last year there were 8 teams in the Western Ultimate League, and this year there are 2 teams that are taking a break or not playing for this, not competing this year. So we are down to 6 teams this year. So that is why we have some of those Los Angeles Astra players who have moved over to this team because Astra is not competing in the league this year. I think some other losses for the Super Bloom roster that I think will certainly be impactful. Blair Mesner is coming back from an injury and so is serving this year as a coaching intern and is not here. And then notably, both Ellis and Alex Diaz are on the roster for Super Bloom this year, but are not at this game. And both of those players are hugely impactful to Super Bloom, and I think it'll be really interesting to see how these matchups and who else on this team gets to step up to fill their role.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think just looking at the roster, Super Bloom has so many talented players that span both handler and cutter spaces, and really they've been building a powerful program. So I'm excited to see what they do, even though, they might be missing some of their key players from the last couple Tempest Super Bloom matchups.
Yeah. So briefly before this first poll goes off, we can see that Super Bloom will be starting on defense. We have Kayla Helton with that first big pull. We have Seattle Tempest starting on offense. Sue catches the pass, centering to Lanier to the far side to Caitlin Rowling, who immediately hucks it deep off the hands of a Tempest player.
I think that's Lauren Meyer, 32.
Gives Super Bloom the first break chance of the game. We can see Super Bloom setting up with a vert stack, which is everyone sort of really tight and close into the fields. Centering to Helton, not a surprise. Ellie Mellick with the disc in the hands, far side.
Nice.
A bidding Baroma on Pajunas. Moving the disc across the field. It's really great movement from Super Bloom. Helton on the sideline. Miscue on the centering pass. Lanier picking up for Tempest. To the far sideline with Kirkland. Back to Sue. Sue centering to rolling for the first goal of the game.
That was nice to see the way that, Tempest came out swinging. I think we can expect to see a lot of really quick movement from them, and it was nice to see Rolling just take that shot deep. And Lauren Meyer is someone definitely to keep your eye on. She is so fast, and I'm excited to see how she fits into this Tempest offense.
Yeah. So thinking about Lauren Meyer and some of these other players, we didn't get the chance to talk about this Tempest roster. What do you think is noteworthy about this Tempest roster as we are starting the season, starting this game?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just a testament to how lucky we are in Seattle. Our community is really deep, and it's just a bunch of ballers on the Tempest roster. I know there's a lot of rookies, and these folks have been playing Ultimate for kind of a long time. So I think I'm excited. I know the Tempest coaching staff is also excited to see what these rookies can do. Particularly for me, I'll be keeping an eye on Meyer, Ye-Sun Lee, and Whipfler. And I'm just, so pumped to see what this team is going to do.
Disc is in Jones' hands, centering to Iwamoto. Jones and Iwamoto working through in that handler set. Zetner also touching the disc, getting in there. That's a really fun handling core for Super Bloom. We can see Ellie Melek with the disc, always ready to shoot with Helton now. Super Bloom offense flowing pretty smoothly. Able to get lots of small passes, comfortable moving it between themselves until they find the shot to gain yards down the field. I really love Iwamoto and how Iwamoto plays. I think they communicate really well with their fakes. We could just see that happening there. That's a great pass from Helton to Jones for the Super Bloom score. We are now at 1-1 with a Super Bloom hold.
Yeah, I was really impressed to see how calm the Super Bloom handlers were just outside the end zone. It seemed really easy. To your point, Iwamoto was just calm, swinging the disc, looking for what was open, and hit a really buttery flick.
It's a really precise throw from Helton to Jones. Jones did a great job, being aware of the sideline, staying safe, controlling her body with that. Although it does look like there, might be a little bit of ouchies.
Yeah, it's tough out here. I know, it's a year-round playing is not easy. A lot of the folks on Super Bloom are also college coaches, and it's a lot. So
yeah,
I see them working hard.
That was something that head coach Alicia Stown was saying before the game, that, they want Super Bloom to be full of joy. They want this to be a sustainable program, and this to be something that all of these players look forward to coming back to. We have Laura Toe starting with the disc in the middle of the field. Turnover to Greta Eisenbray, not quite able to hold on to it. This gives Super Bloom an opportunity to break. Would be their second break opportunity. Nice bid from McIntyre there. I think the thing that I'm seeing from the Super Bloom offense here is how differently this D-line is sort of moving the disc than the O-line, and I'm curious to see how that's going to unfold. Are you seeing anything here?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting the way that the Tempest players are, we talked to the coaching staff before the game, and there's not really strict O and D lines on Tempest, so I'm excited to see how, their defense plays out. But yeah, I'm curious to see what the handlers on this D line for Super Bloom do, and see how it shakes out.
So on the field here, we do have a call, and you can see something to look forward to as we're about to see this pre-stall where the players can move for 4 seconds before the thrower can have any sort of faking or throwing movement. So we did get to see that pre-stall movement here before that stall count starts. Super Bloom offense continuing to move, sort of working in those small spaces, trying to find each other, still trying to work it across the field. Goal to Pajunas for the first break of the game.
So exciting. Yeah, I mean, we had that break chance in the first point, and it's nice to see San Diego capitalize on that. I'm noticing, the Tempest marks they're forcing them flick, but that went all the way up the backhand side. So I wonder what adjustments we'll see the coaching staff make, try and slow down those breaks.
Pajunas here, just named to Team USA, along with teammates Kayla Helton and Dina Ellie Melik, who were all named to the mixed team for Team USA. Rosters were just released this week. And so I think that we will certainly be hearing those names many times throughout the course of this game. We can see Tempest centering to Kirkland, Lanier with the disc on the far sideline. Tempest is in their sort of classic split stack that they like to call the Tempest offense, where they're really unafraid to work the disc on the sideline. And it was working well at the beginning of that point, and you can see where it sort of broke down with Kayla Helton able to get that block on the somewhat errant throw to Baroma into the end zone. This gives Superbloom another opportunity to score.
Yeah, I noticed Helton kind of was marking rolling on this far sideline, and as soon as the throw went up, Helton just went out to help deep, which is such a really great way to cover that Tempest offense.
I'm excited that even though Superbloom was pulling, they put what would normally be their D-line, or normally their O-line out on D. And we just got a big D there from Caitlin Rolling. Gives Tempest the disc back. Oh! What a block by Cameron Helm. One of those new players coming in from Astra, making waves. Iwamoto with the big huck there. Oh, and that block by
Kirkland. Really spicy D point here. Rolling is the business on defense. That was an exciting, just all of that was very cool.
I think what we're seeing is what both of these teams are known for. They're known for this like aggressive pace of their offense, trying to find spaces, and some really incredible deep plays. We had a block there by Helton on Baroma, and some conversation about whether or not that was a foul. You can see the two players talking about it. Observer coming over to help guide the discussion. What are your thoughts on this play?
I mean, I think it's interesting seeing Kate go up that right sideline, Lanier go up that right sideline to Baroma. Sam Rodenberg was open right in the middle, which was, would have been a really cool way to open up the field. But, 9 out of 10 times I'm putting it to Drea Baroma. She's powerful, but it's hard when you've got Helton marking you up. You can be an incredible offensive player, and Helton's shutdown D is nothing to mess with.
So it does look like it is a contested call. Up on your screen, we have our roster from Seattle Tempest. You can see how many new players there are on this roster. Particularly excited to still have like some of our. I want to highlight Charlie Eide, and who is coming back. Played with Tempest in past seasons, was such a rock for Tempest, and is coming back this season. And there's lots of space for these players to, these new players to grow. Anything you're seeing?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just excited to see, again, like I mentioned, how deep the Seattle Ultimate community is. Every single person on this field is absolutely a baller across both teams, and it's just exciting to see new faces coming into the WUL and getting a chance to show their stuff.
So back on the field, we do have a contested foul call. Disc is going back to Cheryl Sue on the far side hash marks. Sue really known for shooting it deep, particularly with her flick huck. Resetting to Lanier. Lanier not quite able to hold on to it. Superbloom with another break opportunity.
Nice switch.
Helton with the break around to Hannah Walter.
Yeah, at the beginning of that turn, just then in the end zone, I think Tempest did a good job of shutting down the first couple looks in that close right corner, but again, the Super Bloom handlers are just so calm swinging that disc. And yeah, you can see Kayla there just so calm, finding the open player on that break side. Again, we're seeing the Tempest marks get broken. I wonder if that'll continue to be a trend for the rest of this game.
Something I also want to recognize there that I really saw in the replay is how quickly Iwamoto took off after she dished the pass to Helton. So she threw it to Helton and then immediately bust up line, clearing that space for Helton to have that break lane totally open for that around to Walter.
Yeah.
That Super Bloom O-line that went in on defense did its job. It was able to convert on that turn, and so now they're able to put another D-line back out. We have this high-flying offense from Tempest. Jazerski shooting to Emily Decker. And Decker right back to Jazerski for a solid answering hold. You can see that strong celebration from those players on the field.
Yeah, Jazerski and Decker have had some time to build chemistry since Decker has arrived in Seattle, I think about a year ago. And yeah, has just been a great addition to the community. It's nice to see their connection on the field.
Really great read by Decker. The other player that's sort of part of that trio is Steph Lim.
Yeah.
And I think that the handler connections between Jazerski and Lim are just so fun to watch. I was out at a practice last weekend and their chemistry was just palpable. So it's really fun to see them playing on the same line. You can see great celebrations from Tempest. Pull by Greta Eisenbray. Tempest continuing to run through their three lines. Super Bloom continuing to play more strict sort of O&D lines. We have a double block there, 2 Tempest defenders on Super Bloom after that big hook from Iwamoto. Eisenbray picking up to Elmi on the sideline, centering to the middle of the toe. Run through block by Ellie Melik. Lots of little give and go action. Out on the goal line for Bile. Iwamoto able to jump it in for another Super Bloom score.
Yeah, to your point about what you said earlier, honestly, Super Bloom is moving so quickly. It's almost like Tempest is on their heels after a turn. And yeah, I mean, if you can get your defenders on their heels, I see no reason to not move quickly.
Yeah, it really feels like Super Bloom is in the driver's seat right now. They are dictating the pace of this game. And I think that with some of this Tempest turnover, some of those newer players aren't quite ready for the pace that it's going. But I think that you have that experience line with Lim and Jazerski and Decker who are ready for that pace and can respond. I think it'll be interesting to see if the Tempest coaches stick with their plan of running all 3 of their lines or if they start flexing players a little bit more.
Yeah, I think something that adds to the speed of the game is just that 7 count stall count. We'll see how that plays out.
Rolling, looking deep, score to Meyer. Tell us a little bit about Lauren Meyer.
Lauren Meyer is a character, yeah. I mean, if I can think of a player who's absolutely a grinder, so fast, and just a joy to have on a team, it's Lauren Meyer. She's just so lovely. And yeah, fun fact about Lauren Meyer is that one time in the middle of a game, a bee flew into her jersey, stung her 3 times, and then flew out of the sleeve. And so her frisbee nickname is Sting. She didn't stop playing that point. She was playing Lockdown D that whole time. We couldn't believe that she'd had a bee in her shirt. It's crazy.
That's amazing and hilarious. Meyer, one of those big additions to this Tempest roster, making her WUL debut. Jazerski with the pull there. We see that Super Bloom off O-line back out. Still running that vert stack. The vert stack exploding a little bit. Now it looks like we are setting into a hoe stack. Playing give and go with Ellie Mellick. Ellie Mellick shooting it deep. Again, we have 2 Tempest defenders, but Bile able to come down with that disc.
Yeah, if I'm not wrong, I think that was Tempest's first zone look of the game. Looked like they were running a 2-3-2 sort of junky zone. And I think it went well at first, you know, to get Super Bloom off their game plan, but having both those defenders under the disc and unable to make a play is tough. And also the Super Bloom offensive player read it really well.
I really appreciate the spacing from Ellie Mellick and how Bile was able to keep both Cherry and Jazerski behind them as to be able to box them out to secure that disc, right? Ellie Mellick did a great job of like reading where the defenders were and putting the disc on the far side of them to allow that play to happen. And I think that both Cherry and Jazerski were behind because they were in a junk look as opposed to being in a person.
Yeah.
Elmi centering to Eisenbray. Tempest in there. In a little bit more of a hoe offense with players sort of occupying some of that middle field. Bridget Whiffler with the big huck. Oh my goodness! What a grab!
Campana. Put some respect on that name. That's crazy. I love that grab. Carly's another person that is just so much fun to watch, so much fun to play with, just exudes joy and is absolutely the hardest worker you'll meet.
But let's not forget the person who threw that, Bridget Whiffler, also a rookie on Tempest this year. I had the joy of coaching Bridget this past season, and so much fun, so much growth as a player, and seeing
replay.
Yeah, seeing Bridget's throw is like such a win for Bridget. Like beautiful placement. Carly's read on that disc, boxing players out. Oh, beauty.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly the kind of offense you want to see from Tempest. Feeling confident, taking the shots to your players that you know they can catch, and just putting some trust in your teammates.
I think that's exactly the story of this game, putting trust in your teammates. Tempest coming down with a zone look. Super Bloom breaking it through the cup. Moving the disc, using the holes in that. Tempest falling to a person. Most players have successfully picked up. On the near side of the field, trapped on the sideline. Schultz with the disc. Over to Helton, moving it. That's a really phenomenal bid.
Yeah, you could see Rodenberg just adjusting their position at that last second. Honestly, kind of a gift that disc went off the hands of number 20 or 30 maybe.
Bile.
Yeah.
That was a classic Sue throw, that low inside forehand to Meyer, up to Rodenberg, to Rolling, who loves that backhand huck. A little bit too far for Kirkland.
Yeah, like I mentioned, we're seeing a lot of that quick movement from Rolling and taking those deep shots, which I think is good. I think the Super Bloom players are playing really tight under D, and so I think that the Tempest can exploit that deep space.
And I think that's part of the Tempest game plan, is if we're going to have a turn, let's have a turn that is like far away from our defending end zone.
Totally.
Let's make Super Bloom have to work it the full length of the field.
And this gives the Tempest a chance to set up their zone B again. It looks like zone in the front, person in the backfield.
And it was successful. Able to get another turn, and now Tempest doesn't have as far to work it. Kirkland with the disc on the near sideline. Super Bloom really in their pants, trying to put a lot of pressure on. It does successfully work. Sue with the drop. Iwamoto picks up the disc, hucks it deep, and Lanier with the block, able to get into position, now working it back up the field.
Love to see Cheryl Sue in the stack, putting on her cutting show for a little bit.
Oh! Kirkland hucking it deep, but that disc was tipped by Savinsky. Let's give Savinsky the credit for that block. There's a really great read by Savinsky. able to also recover that field space. So disc is coming in closer, 10 yards shy of half field. Iwamoto picking up, you can see directing traffic, looking for options, stall count rising. There was a whistle blown. Timeout was called. Ooh! Let's talk about those timeouts. Can you tell us how timeouts work in the WUL?
Yeah, let's see if I remember. Pop quiz. I think how it works is the coaches can call a timeout anytime, and even if you've had like a turn after the timeout was called, you keep the disc, and the coaches and staff can change out every player on the field, which is fun.
And the stall count resets to 0.
Right.
So San Diego coaching staff, shout out. And this is something that head coach from last year, Angela Wells, was known for doing really well as well. Yeah. You see the stall count rising. You know you're at stall 6 of 7. Your player doesn't have a good option. Seems likely that they're about to throw in a turnover because they're going to like force it downfield or into a small window that isn't really open. You save your possession by calling that timeout, and you get to reset your stall count to 0. That was really great work by, that San Diego coaching staff. And while we do have a number of new players on the new coaches on that San Diego coaching staff, it's still noteworthy that they were the WUL coaching staff of the year last year. And it's these plays like this kind of critical timeout that saves possession for Super Bloom, that earned them that right.
Absolutely. Looking on the field now, I think we see the Tempest has swapped out their whole line. We've got what I think is their third line, maybe. But yeah, see Lim on the mark, just so intense.
Super Bloom taking it in stride, moving the disc across the field. Juan up to Schultz. Far side to Eli Melik. Helton just outside of the end zone. Ooh, to Pajunas. We got a mixed-up line here, and it's really fun to see all of these Super Boom players playing together.
Get up! I know that's right. And that was a fun little celebration, bouncing the disc on her knee. Cool.
Pajunas to Eli Melik for that goal. You can tell that Pajunas is like, oh no, stall count's rising. Gotta put it in the end zone. What am I gonna do? It's not working. I'm gonna float it. I know that Eli Melik is back there. Eli Melik doing what Eli Melik is known for doing. Skying people, taking names.
I wanna just point out in that replay, you could see Jesse Crowley on the dump defense just shut down. It's the reason that Pajunas, I think, might have been a scoober to Eli Melik in that stack, and it's nice to see Jesse shutting down that, or Crowley shutting down that dumpy.
Yeah, love it. So checking in, we have 21 seconds left in the first quarter. Super Bloom is up 6-4. So coming in at the end of the quarter, something that is special about the rules for the WUL is that if you have possession of the disc at the end of the quarter, you get to continue playing even after time expires. So with about 15 seconds left, what's critical here is that Tempest continues to have possession to not give Super Bloom the opportunity to increase their lead. So we are closing down. Time has now expired, so this will be the last possession of the first quarter. Tempest gets to keep possession until either a turn or a score. Charlie Eide looking deep. Meyer and Whippler both there, unable to close. And that is the end of our first quarter.
I think that was maybe Campana and Whippler, but yes, both on the disc, and just heartbreaking.
It does look like Super Bloom is getting ready to flip the disc in play. Okay, now we have clear communication, and we have recognized that we are at the end of the quarter. You can see the observers communicating what is supposed to be happening on the field. Players walking off. So, after this first quarter of play, your Tempest, you're down by 2. You started You started on offense, and you're ending the quarter down by 2. We'll have some updates for you about what we think Tempest is going to do coming up after. Stay tuned.
In pursuit, but it is caught. Teresa Zettner.
What an incredible!
Oh, my goodness, the layout grab from Kristen Pajunas.
I just stood up. I couldn't even sit for that. First of all, the angle of that throw. Second of all, the finish. And watch the inside out. Just look at the angle of this throw. What a great grab.
Hi.
In pursuit.
And we are back in this first game of the 2024 season. San Diego Super Bloom against the home Seattle Tempest. Super Bloom is leading 6-4. Val, what are you seeing? If you're a Tempest, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I feel like Tempest is kind of executing their game plan, and the only thing that needs to look different is a little bit more confidence. I think Tempest is playing tight D, they're taking good shots, they're moving the disc quickly, they're sticking to the Tempest offense, and it's just the little moments of like doubt and hesitation where I think like if Tempest is upping their confidence, those shots are, I think they're up. I think they're completed, and yeah, I'm excited to see some more of that energy in this second quarter.
Yeah, it feels to me like Tempest isn't really putting enough pressure on the inside throws from Super Bloom, and that's how Super Bloom is able to sort of like get their offense going. And so I think that like on the mark, if they have a little bit of a shift to put more pressure on that, that can maybe slow down the pace of the Super Bloom offense.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the quintessential like dilemma of a mark. It's like if I'm cutting off the inside, is my around open? And I feel like Super Bloom has no mercy. You know, like they're gonna punish if you leave the inside lane open. They're gonna take the inside shot. I saw that during warmups. And if you wrap on that inside and leave the around open, then those backhands, those around backhands are coming. So yeah, we'll see what Tempest does.
We got an exciting second quarter ahead of us. Rolling with that pull to get us started. Super Bloom starting this quarter on offense, again in that vertical stack. A little bit, we see, Tempest throwing in sort of a clammy kind of offense, probably a 2-3-2, trying to clog up some of those lanes. Super Bloom doing a really excellent job continuing to find the open spaces.
That was a really cheeky throw.
Bile is definitely playing a big part of this offense. I really am enjoying watching how frequently Bile is gaining yards on those unders. Jones and Iwamoto, Helton holding it down in the handler space. Helton with that backhand to Iwamoto. Iwamoto able to toe it in. You're talking about those insides and those arounds. There is a really great example of that around from Helton for that score.
Yeah, absolutely. Just another example also of Iwamoto moving so quickly and just taking every little bit that the defense is giving her.
Oh, that was Zettner with a great play. Zettner had a really big impact on this Super Bloom roster last year. He's moving the disc well here. Hasn't had any highlight plays yet, but I think we should expect some big things out of Zettner.
Yeah, if I'm Tempest playing that sort of junky D into the transition to person, I'm wanting to transition a little bit faster. I think there was a period of time there where Tempest was a little bit on their heels in the transition, and I think that just builds the Super Bloom confidence, which is sick for Super Bloom. But if you're thinking about your defense, you want to lock down the transition.
Yeah, Super Bloom has extended their lead to 3, now up 7-4. And again, Super Bloom really with a chip on their shoulder, being down 0 for 4 in the last 4 matchups against Tempest. Tempest definitely also something to prove as the defending champions of the WUL 2 years in a row, right? How are they gonna, like, who is this team with so much turnover gonna be? Still really trying to find their identity. Tremonti with the disc there. Now to Juzerski, over to Lim. Lim also really loves those insides. You can see it there. To Decker. Another inside.
Oh, so spicy.
To a falling DeVault for the score.
That was a great grab by Decker. The disc is coming in so hot on that inside, and that one-arm grab is just really spicy.
Yeah. You know, we were talking about Super Bloom using their insides against the Tempest offense, and there we can see Tempest really using their own insides to get that disc to the break side of the field to open up those angles. Quick inside from Lim, great grab by Decker like you just said, and here we have another sort of leading inside pass to Vault, also having to, you know, catch behind, able to close that out.
That was a lot of, like, really impressive movement by a good handful of Tempest rookies, and I've just been, like, so far really impressed with the way that the rookies are playing this game. It's a lot to transition to WUL from other styles of play, and it's cool to see everybody shining.
Izumari with the pull, it does go out of bounds. Iwamoto signaling that they are going to take it from the middle of the field. This, you know, it becomes this question of, do you want to start from a standstill, give the D the time to set up? Do you want to start in motion? You know, you can see where everyone's setting up if they start. Iwamoto putting it up deep to Helton. Oh, defended by ID. Ellie Melik trying to come in to save that possession, was unable to close it.
That was really great boxing out by ID. You can see Helton trying to read the disc, and you know, we saw it earlier with Helton and Baroma. Most times Helton's going to get a perfect read on that.
Well, you know, ID and Helton, both really experienced players, have played against each other for years and years, like, know how the other one plays. So I think that's a super fun matchup to watch. Chung with the grab there, sending it deep to Whippler. Whippler able to close it for the Tempest goal. You can see Whippler holding on to the disc, pausing a second, checking the observers to make sure they're in.
There's something so fun about watching teams celebrate after a score. It's like all the best parts of sports. Like, absolutely. Cool things with your friends.
Really good, like, body awareness from Chung there to see the sideline, able to move that disc quickly. You know, we were talking about the pace of the game. Chung moving the disc quickly. You know, that's what Super Bloom was doing so well earlier, is moving the disc with pace. And I think that is going to be critical to this Tempest offense, and has been when they're the most successful.
Totally. Also, just want to shout out McIntyre for that defense. I mean, McIntyre's there, like, playing really, really, really intense D on Whippler and making it a highly contested catch.
Yeah, you can see Coach Alicia talking to that Super Bloom line, getting them ready. We have sort of more of their D-ish line playing offense, at least in their handler set. Savinsky really hubbing this handling core. WUL playing a big part backfield here. Again, Super Bloom content to move the disc laterally and keep possession. Tempest doing a pretty good job not giving them lots of downfield options.
Seems like Super Bloom's pretty comfy just working it with the handlers. Again, I'm very impressed with the poise of the Super Bloom handler core. And all it takes is, you know, one throw.
And all it takes is one throw for a turnover as well.
That's right.
Ellie Melik to Helton with the turn. Big huck to Baroma. Tempest, like, has has momentum, players running downfield. What a run through block. Schultz with that D there. Tides are turning.
Such a dominant player. It is so cool to see Schultz out here doing their thing.
Hannah picking up. Moving over to Juan. Back to Hannah. Again, you can see Tempest in that sort of 2-3-2, trying to clog up the middle of the field. It does seem to be working because you're having to take a lot of passes. But the patience from this handling core from Super Bloom is making it work.
Yeah, it's nice to see how the Tempest has... Oh, that's a rip. I was just going to say it's nice to see the defense sort of dialing in over the course of the game. I think the first time you throw a junk on a team, you're just trying to see how that team responds to it, and then you start to kind of fine-tune it. So we'll see how this defense kind of evolves over the course of the rest of the game.
That was Pajunas with a big hug to Ellie Malik. Definitely someone you want to hug deep to. Throw not connected. Linear picking up the disc for Tempest. Over to Rodenberg on the far sideline. Aggressive mark by Helton, trying to contain such that deep threat. You can see Rodenberg busting deep as the Tempest handlers are moving it amongst themselves. Again, sort of moving it laterally, not gaining a ton of yards. Rodenberg shaking free of Helton. Big flick huck to Rolling. Rolling bites in a little bit too much.
That Rodenberg-Helton matchup is cool. Those are both, Team USA players?
Yeah. Yeah, Rodenberg and Jazerski for Tempest also just named to Team USA this week. So that is a really fun matchup. Kirkman goes for the block, doesn't get it. Juan comes down with the disc, back to Pajunas, floating it out to space to Helton. Ooh.
Yeah, extremely calm behavior by Juan in that grab.
Yeah, there were a number of great plays, a number of turns that point. And I think that calm that you just said, like that was really the word, you know, big look, reading that.
Just so steady.
And that trust between Pajunas and Helton, right? Like how long have they been playing together in so many different scenarios that, you know, Pajunas can just get it, throw that sort of higher release, set it out into space for Helton to run onto. Really great work by San Diego. Still up by 2, 8-6. We are, you know, not quite halfway through the second quarter. How you feeling?
I'm just excited to see this game. I feel like, yeah, Super Bloom's so composed. And I feel like Tempest is coming out hot and sticking to the Tempest plan, which I think is to like trust each other and take big shots. And I feel like these teams are so well matched playing each other.
Yeah. Far sideline on the field. Super Bloom had a great big on sort of a kind of meh throw, giving them this opportunity for a break. Centering to Jones. Not quite in the end zone for Helm. Helm puts it in for the Super Bloom score.
Is that the first break of this quarter?
That is the first break of this quarter. Bile bringing it in for Super Bloom.
Yeah, about one of those players that came over from the Astra and just making a statement.
You can see some video of the Tempest stands right now. Weather's about 50 and cloudy as we are, at about 6 p.m. in Seattle. And those Tempest fans are not particularly, excited about this game right now. When your home team is down, when you're so used to them being up, it can really be advantageous if you can get some energy from those fans. So, if you're in those stands right now, getting some energy to help Tempest get back, they're in this game, but they're definitively down. Super Bloom still really in control of this game and setting this pace.
Yeah. I mean, we said it earlier, all it takes is one throw, and we've got a little bit more than half the game left to play, so we'll see. But as for right now, I think the Super Bloom is playing really, really well.
Nice opening for Whiffler in the middle of the field. Whiffler did a great job creating space for themselves. Out to Chung, to Meyer, back to over to Toe.
That's Campana, I think, yeah.
Campana doing a great job working with Toe. Laura Toe, left-handed,
yeah.
so able to throw that, you know, for them, it's that backhand out to space. And Campana doing a great job getting, you know, sealing off the players and running that into the end zone.
That's the second Whiffler-Campana connection so far. It's cool to see that chemistry building. I know Tempest spends a lot of time scrimmaging and figuring out what combinations of players goes well, and it's cool to see that in action.
Campana, a Seattle native, you know, one of those players that is like born and bred in Seattle, and you know, speaks to the strength of this Ultimate program in the city. You know, creating the talent as opposed to having players, you know, move here from other places in order to get your talent. You were speaking to that earlier, like the depth of talent in Seattle.
Totally. I mean, as a transplant, I'm a little biased, you know, but I agree. I mean, it's just so cool to come to a place like Seattle and see how early folks get to start playing.
I mean, I'm a transplant too. Tempest with another, trying that, you know, 3-person cup upfield. Super Bloom staying really composed, moving it amongst the handlers. Out to McIntyre, back to Jones, around to Helton. Helton on this near sideline, moving this across the field to Iwamoto. Zetner, Iwamoto, you know, saying a lot of these same names. The patience from this handling core is really incredible. You can start to hear a little bit more from this Tempest crowd. Drop to Zetner, gives Tempest the opportunity. What is this offensive set going to look like? Currently, the offensive set looks messy.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I noticed Tempest got possession and spent maybe the first 2 seconds of the stall count trying to get into a stack instead of maybe giving the handlers an option. We can contrast that with the Super Bloom offense, which is as soon as the turn happens, Super Bloom is giving multiple options to their handlers. And I wonder if that just has to do, you know, it's the first game of the season. You're figuring out what works and what doesn't and how you want your offense to really look.
Well, and again, thinking about, you know, the chemistry that's built up over seasons with about half this Tempest roster being new for so much of the Super Bloom roster coming back. Rodenberg running into the end zone for the Tempest score.
That is nasty. Sam Rodenberg is so fast. Just another player that I'm like, yeah, Sam has 2 steps, or Rodenberg has 2 steps on somebody, I'm putting it up.
Absolutely, and that was certainly what Sam's teammates saw when that disc went up. Treya Baroma to Alexa Kirkland. Nice backhand, really out to space. Rodenberg just continuing to increase the distance they had on the Super Bloom defender there.
That's so tough because McIntyre's not in a bad position. It's just difficult when you play with somebody like Rodenberg, whose superpower is getting open in the deep space. You can have really great defensive positioning and still not have a great angle to make a play on that disc.
I think from having played with Rodenberg for a couple of seasons, Rodenberg's ability to catch the disc in the end zone, like they're one of those players where the majority of their touches are actually goals.
Yes.
Like, yes, they can catch the disc elsewhere in the field. They're certainly a strong, well-rounded player. However, like a disproportionate number of their touches are goals.
Absolutely. Sam's always going to the end zone.
And disc coming in on the sideline for Super Bloom. Again, while Tempest is starting to make a run, they are still down. Super Bloom firmly in control of this game, although there's some increased pressure. Huck from Super Bloom, not the most open spacing Huck that Super Bloom has thrown a little bit so far. I think we're seeing the impact of that increased pressure from Tempest on Super Bloom. It's like creating a little bit of nerves there.
Also, I know it's silly, but it is cold in this stadium, and I'm like, sometimes your hands get cold. It's harder to make the throws. I know that the Super Bloom handlers have those throws, you know, 8 out of 10 times, 9 out of 10 times, and it's just those little bit.
Decker Jajerski playing a little bit of catch there. That whole like near sideline space was created by another inside throw involving Lim. Again, another inside. Pajunas went up, tried to get that block, but it was caught by Tremonti.
No, you got it.
Went back to Decker, back to Lim. It looks like there is a pick on the field. Can you tell us about picks? What's the deal with picks?
Yeah, basically a pick is if you're a defensive player and someone is in the way of you playing defense on your person and you're within a certain distance, I think it's like 7 yards, 10 yards, then you're able to call a pick and say, yeah, my path to defending my player was impeded by somebody else.
Disc is back in play. We're seeing some of the drawbacks of those inside shots. That was a great block by Stamba for Super Bloom to get the disc back.
Yeah, blocked by Stamba on that inside, immediately took off deep, and the throw went off just a little too far for her. So Tempest back on O.
Lim picking up. Helton almost able to get the run through D on Tremonti. Back with Juzerski. You can see Juzerski was winding up for that big backhand, putting it high and out to space. Great read by Schultz there, able to get that block, get into space.
Super Bloom just has like 3 jerseys under every defensive disc. It's making it like hard for the offensive team to get a catch, and that's kind of the dream when you're on D.
And I think that really speaks to what Coach Alicia Stoon was saying before the game of like, Super Bloom is hungry.
Yeah.
They want this game. Like they know this past history and they are like here to prove, like chart a different course, right? Having ended the last 2 seasons as the runner-up, like they are here to start from the beginning of the season and demonstrate that they are going to be the championship team this year.
Absolutely.
There is a timeout called. Timeout called from the Tempest coaching staff. Noteworthy that each team gets 2 timeouts per half. Those 2 timeouts do not roll over to the second half, so they are use them or lose them. That was the first timeout for the first half for Tempest. So, you know, I think, again, another strong call. You could see Juzerski there, like winding up to throw a big backhand. And there have been a couple of turnovers so far at this point. Was another deep huck exactly what you wanted to do?
Totally. I mean, I think it just speaks to Super Bloom's defense at this point. It's gotten, you know, when you play a long point, your defense can start to get looser and looser, but I've actually noticed this point, the Super Bloom defense is just tightening up and making it way harder for the Tempest O. So yeah, I agree. Good call by the coaching staff. Get everybody new legs on the field and have a breath, and yeah.
I think it's really fun that you talk about like that fitness element for Super Bloom. I think that oftentimes as you get deeper into a game, you can see some of your stars who are playing a lot of points become, you know, not as close to their players. But that's so not true of the Super Bloom roster. They're like, fitness is clearly so important to so many of these players and something they spend a lot of time and energy and effort working on because, like you said, their defense is getting better as the points going on.
Absolutely. Everyone here is so fast and just very good at what they're doing.
Elmi on the sideline, putting up a high stall count throw. It does look like there is a stall called. Campana was able to come down with the disc. We are trying to get the play to stop, but the players downfield don't realize that the play has continued. Disc is going to reset back to Elmi. It looks like that stall was not contested. So there is an agreement that disc will come in with McIntyre and Elmi over here. But all of that ensuing play that happened on the field doesn't actually matter.
Interesting to see the handler movement between Eisenbray and Elmi. I think there's a little bit of that feeling of your dumps squishing you into the sideline, and I feel like Tempest could benefit from spreading out a little bit and swinging the disc. I think part of the benefit of the Tempest offense is how wide your options are. And so it'd be cool to see the Tempest capitalizing on that.
Here's a really big opportunity for Super Bloom to get momentum back on their side, right? They're only up by 1, just over 2 minutes left in the half. You know, in the red zone, Iwamoto picking up to Helton. you know, out to Schultz. Turnover. Elmi back with the disc for Tempest.
Oh my God.
And what a block by McIntyre.
I was just about to say that's the first time on that previous turn, the first time I've seen the handlers for Super Bloom look a little bit spooked outside the end zone, but they just got it right back.
So it does look like there is a stall called on Iwamoto. You could see that Toe was sort of standing there saying, hey, there's a thing that's happening, play is continuing on, but we need to come back. So they are having a discussion about that stall, whether or not disc will stay with Helton or if it's going to come back to Iwamoto and result in a turnover. Conversation amongst our observers. While we're thinking about our observers, let's give a shout out to our observing staff. We have Kate Dare, Jean Su, Jana Haneker, and Erica Kuda Mehta. Thank you, observers. Disc stays with Helton. Again, on the doorstep for Super Bloom. Great outside movement. Faking off Toe, but Iwamoto finds that really small space to Schultz for the goal for Super Bloom.
Iwamoto's first step is so fast that as a defender trying to block that upline, it's almost a foregone conclusion that Iwamoto's going to get open on you upline.
Yeah, and it's because, you know, as soon as Iwamoto throws it, Iwamoto is taken off.
Yeah.
Like, it's the anticipation of that movement.
Strong effort from Kat Chung on that D.
And I think that Schultz has not gotten enough recognition as a player, like really making an impact in this game in lots of little ways here, right? Like,
yeah.
You know, finding that space to give and go with Iwamoto in those tiny spaces, able to just like seal and edge out her defender. I think we'll be hearing a lot more of Schultz's name this season for Super Bloom.
Yeah, I'm excited. Schultz is, like I said, a super dominant player, and it's nice to see her out here.
Super Bloom now up 10-8. Nice floaty pull from Helton. We have Sue, Kirkland, and Lanier in the backfield for Tempest, rolling, finding that space in the middle of the field. Out to Baroma, really all alone on that far sideline. Baroma thinks about shooting it deep, keeps the disc. Because they didn't have a mark on, the stall count hasn't started, which is why Baroma has the disc in their hands for so long. Rolling on the sideline. Again, Tempest actively using the sideline as part of their offense. Rodenberg to Gerald Sue for the Tempest score.
Yeah, that rolling Sue Rodenberg connection. That's nice. It's nice to have that chemistry on that line.
Clearly knowing where the players are going to be before able to work together.
Yeah. Also, Rodenberg's release on that is so quick.
Well, and I think that Rodenberg did a great job with the inside fake to move her mark to then, you know, be able to put it up that sideline.
Yeah.
You know, and I appreciate that Sue is cutting to that space, you know, like trusting that these are, like, my teammates are elite throwers. They can put this to the space, even if they do have to break the mark to get there.
Absolutely.
We have 43 seconds left in this half. Jazerski with the pull.
That is an incredible pull. Lands right on the sideline. Gets your offense trapped basically on their goal line.
But Iwamoto's throw through the cup to Helton. That is such a beautiful throw to
so
really
buttery.
Open up this Super Bloom offense. Helton,
I mean, you got it.
Helton, Jones, and Iwamoto in the backfield, patiently working it up against that cup from Tempest.
Yeah, I mean, I was just gonna say, as that front cup, you have to respect every single fake from those throwers. You cannot expect to not have one of those throws go off. And so, as a cup, it's a difficult job because you're trying to mark up on some of the most talented throwers in the game.
That is the whistle for the end of the half. This will be the last possession of the half. Ellie Melik coming into that backfield. Tempest really throwing lots of players into like trying to clog up those throwing lanes and successfully moving Super Bloom backwards. So there was a timeout called. There's some discussion, potentially some confusion about what's happening on the field. So it looks like timeout was called, so we're going into a timeout. Super Bloom will get to maintain possession, but have the opportunity to reset their play, make a plan. So if you're Tempest here, do you come out with the same defense or do you switch it up?
You know, I think my preference in this situation would be fresh legs and a new defense. Presumably, the Super Bloom will have a plan for what the defense was before the timeout, and I think throwing something new out there to maybe catch them off guard would be good. But it also kind of seems like we're not coming out of a timeout. It seems like maybe it's done.
Awesome. Seems like it was a total fake out, not a timeout. We are at the end of the half, everyone. San Diego Super Bloom takes half 10-9 against Tempest. What a first half. What was your favorite play of this first half?
Gotta be that Carly Campana grab under pressure. I think it was like such a good defensive play by Super Bloom, and just one of those moments where as an athlete, you're like, I'm getting this disc no matter what. And I think both players had that feeling, and it was just sick.
We have more coming up. We are so ready here in Seattle for the Western Ultimate League. This is the last game of the home opening of the first weekend of the WUL season. We are so pumped to be here for this tight match between San Diego and Seattle. You know the second half is coming for you. You better not go anywhere.
In pursuit, but it is caught. Teresa Zettner.
What an incredible!
Oh, my goodness, the layout grab from Kristen Pajunas.
I just stood up. I couldn't even sit for that. First of all, the angle of that throw. Second of all, the finish. And watch the inside out. Just look at the angle of this throw. What a great grab.
Hi, I'm Cheryl Sue, and I'm number 24. I'm feeling pretty excited about this season. I love to travel and play high-level competition and play in front of amazing fans. Some personal goals in mind. I want to lead, by example, work hard, and connect with teammates, whether that's on or off the field. I think this team is capable of making championship weekend again, but I personally like to focus on the process. No team is the same as the years before. Every season is a new experience. I'm excited to continue to build chemistry and dial in our systems.
OT.
Number 7, Giants and Chargers, Justin Herbert. Wait a minute. Hang on a minute here.
Looks like that's Western Ultimate League Frisbee. I'd know it anywhere.
It looks like Cody Lippincott, right?
Mm-hmm.
Laying out, well done.
All right, so I'm going to just guess.
Hey, my name is Drea Broma. I'm number 23 on Tempest, and this is my interview.
What are some personal goals you have for this upcoming season?
I want to get more highlights. It's fun to see myself on the screen.
What do you think this team is capable of going into the season?
Man, three-peat, right? That's the whole goal. If not winning, what else is there?
This is in Tempest's hand, and as well as a second championship.
What feels different going into this season?
Ooh, for us, I think it's all about chemistry building and about kind of figuring out what kind of team this year would be.
What do you think this team can improve on even after winning back-to-back titles?
There's always something to improve, right? But I think it's maintaining our solid foundation and building on individual highlights, and just if you're good at something, why not showcase that?
OT.
Number 7, Giants and Chargers, Justin Herbert. Wait a minute. Hang on a minute here.
Nope. Looks like that's Western Ultimate League Frisbee. I'd know it anywhere.
It looks like Cody Lippincott, right?
Mm-hmm.
Laying out, well done.
All right, so I'm going to just guess.
Hi, I'm Sadie Jazerski. I'm number 77 and I play for Seattle Tempest. I would love to play with even more joy that I had last year. I think last year was just like a lot of growing, getting to know people here and in the community since I was so new to Seattle. I think now that I kind of have my feet under me and kind of get to know people more, I just really want to play with a lot of joy and just play to win. I think for the team, just obviously every team's different, every vibe is different in culture. So with this year, a new team and new people coming in, it's just going to be totally different in how people adjust and how people help each other out. And I think that's just one big difference, but it's a really great one. I think this upcoming season is really awesome. I think we have a lot of room to grow even from last season. I think we're definitely capable of winning again. I mean, Seattle is such a great hub for Ultimate. Everyone wants to get better. Everyone wants to improve each other. I think that just shows within our play and with winning back-to-back championships also.
Hi, I'm Sam Ronenberg, number 14 from Seattle Tempest. For this upcoming season, I feel like we're going to have a few different challenges compared to last year. You're going to see a few different faces on our roster, and our coaching staff is a little different. One thing I think we have to do this year is just be adaptable. What we can do this year to improve compared to last year is I think we had a slow start to build chemistry as a team, so it would be cool to see what we can do to start building chemistry early to bring those into our first and second game. For this season, what feels different is that things feel familiar, which is actually pretty great, right? Like you show up to the spaces, everybody knows what they're doing and what their roles and job and responsibilities are, and it's a good feeling and things just feel a little bit easier, right? Like the first year, things are harder because you don't know all the nuances, but yeah, this season just feels really familiar and it feels really good. For this season, I think that our team is capable of making it to championship weekend again.
We believe that women and non-binary athletes deserve to be seen and our abilities showcased for the world to see.
We believe in perpetuating Ultimate by establishing professional teams and developing future generations of players.
We believe players of all identities and backgrounds deserve an equal opportunity to be recognized and lauded for our achievements in our sport.
We believe in sustainably and responsibly creating equitable and accessible avenues for women and non-binary athletes to join and participate in our sport.
We believe that being transparent,
open,
and responsive to criticism is critical,
and that there should always be space
to fix our mistakes,
grow, and be better.
We are
the Western Ultimate League.
in pursuit, but it is caught. Teresa Zettner.
What an incredible!
Oh, my goodness, the layout grab from Kristen Pajunas.
I just stood up. I couldn't even sit for that. First of all, the angle of that throw. Second of all, the finish. And watch the inside out. Just look at the angle of this throw. What a great grab.
Hi, I'm Cheryl Sue, and I'm number 24. I'm feeling pretty excited about this season. I love to travel and play high-level competition and play in front of amazing fans. Some personal goals in mind. I want to lead, by example, work hard, and connect with teammates, whether that's on or off the field. I think this team is capable of making championship weekend again, but I personally like to focus on the process. No team is the same as the years before. Every season is a new experience. I'm excited to continue to build chemistry and dial in our systems.
Welcome back to Seattle, Washington, where we are here at Memorial Stadium in downtown Seattle. We have San Diego Superbloom facing off Seattle Tempest. Tempest has won all 4 of their matchups so far in league history, but Superbloom leads 10-9 coming into the second half. Is this going to be the game that breaks the streak? Is this going to be that decisive victory that Superbloom is in the hunt for to show that this is going to be the year that they take the championship? As we get ready for the second half, let's quickly reflect back on what happened at the end of that first half. Val, close it!
Yeah, I think if I'm understanding what happened correctly, the Superbloom coaching staff called a timeout, timeout after the time had expired, and that's an automatic turnover.
So that was how we ended that first half. Starting this second half, we have Tempest on offense with the opportunity to tie the game. Eisenbray hucking deep to Chung, Iwamoto in that space. Chung able to get possession over to Whippler for the Tempest goal. We are now tied. We have not been tied since early in this game.
Yeah, that's a sick read by Kat. Way to keep calm, cool, and collected when Superbloom is playing tight D, and then just a quick flip to Whippler. It's fun just playing catch with your friends, It's good out here.
We can see, sun is getting ready to set in Seattle. It's getting colder. You can see players putting on jackets, hands getting cold, but we were all shorthanded on that point for Tempest, able to read, close possession of the disc, keep nice touch, putting the pressure on Superbloom. We are in for a really exciting second half. This is the third game of 3 games that are happening on opening weekend. All 6 teams in the WUL are playing. So earlier today, Colorado Alpenglow won 16-14 over the Arizona Sidewinders. San Francisco Falcons are playing Utah Wild. Falcons were up 12-10 over Wild at half. So, we got a bunch of close games going. Superbloom on offense here. Their opportunity to respond to that Tempest. Rodenberg with the block. Out to Rolling, loving that backhand, shooting deep to Campana.
Yeah.
Tempest goal.
Great quick work by Tempest. This is a little bit what we were seeing from the Superbloom in the last half, that quick, decisive movement on the turn. But it's interesting, right before that Superbloom turn, it looked like they were about to run some kind of dominator or some play that was being initiated by their handlers, because you see this quick movement, and it's just that edge on the disc that gets it over the handler straight into the hands of Rodenberg.
Yeah, really just almost trying to move too quickly. And sorry, quick correction, that was Kate Lanier with the goal for Tempest, not Campana. Nice work by Lanier. Lanier has really been in the handler space there, but pushing downfield and scoring that for Tempest for the break. This is the first lead for Tempest for this whole game.
I think so.
What a way to come out in the second half in front of this home crowd, putting some pressure on. Let's see how Superbloom responds. Superbloom really putting a lot of their stars onto this line. trying to make sure they have some sure-handed players to move that disc. I like seeing Helm back in that handling space with Iwamoto and Jones. Out the Helm on the sideline.
Seemed like that. Oh, yeah, it just seemed like that Tempest Zone D really slowed down the cuts in the middle of the field. It just straight handler motion there.
But leaving Iwamoto unguarded as in that transition from Tempest is not a good decision. Iwamoto continuing, like, really has taken a step up in their game this year. Like, really decisive. That was a good shot to, there was a good shot to Helton, but Jazerski with that block.
Great read by Jesse Crowley.
Great second effort by DeVault there to keep Tempest with the possession. Jazerski aware of the sideline on that far side. Superbloom D really clamping down, making those windows really small. Cheryl Sue hucking it deep to Decker. Decker really out in space. Helm, I really shout out to Helm's D here.
Yes.
Trying to like drop back, see where that pressure was. Speaking of pressure, that pressure from Vile on Ye-Sun Lee, I think really caused this turnover.
Absolutely something to be said for continuing to grind. It can be so hard as a defender when a deep shot goes up and your team is lagging behind you to stay tight on that person. And yeah, shout out to the Superbloom defense for not giving up.
Outside of your camera angle, what's happening here for this sort of pause in the game is there was an injury call on the field. So we did have a Superbloom player come off the field, replaced by another player. Looks like Iwamoto is picking up. Superbloom gets to have their possession. The injury was away from the play and unaffected by anything else. And Superbloom needs to work it the full length of the field. But again, handlers working patiently. Tempest trying to put pressure up close with their 2-3-2. Helm at about a third of the field.
Great find.
Yeah. Looking deep, you can see Walter getting ready to huck it. Patiently waiting. Nice around, pretty floaty.
Wow.
What a dig. Really great work. Back to the middle of the field. Superbloom patiently moving that disc, finding their players.
Taking the easy open shots. That's really great work from Superbloom.
Walter, really the player of the point for Superbloom. Walter had that possession saving layout, had the goal there, was moving the Tempest defense with their big fakes. Really great job by Hannah Walter there.
I would say there was almost like a bit of a momentum shift in the Tempest direction in the last, 3 points, and I think this was a good way for Superbloom to be like, no, like we're not letting the momentum shift without a fight. And yeah, again, so hard on a point with multiple turns. We were playing really intense defense to then turn around and play aggressive offense. Great work on the Superbloom side.
And to your point, the momentum shift for Superbloom was in the pace of their offense and how decisive they were. It wasn't like a rushed, frantic shift. It was, no, we are in control of this game. We have earned the right to be here. Like, look at us move.
Absolutely.
Tempest on offense with their own opportunity to respond. Tied at 11s.
Ooh, that's nice B.
Superbloom again. We are fighting. Both teams really hungry here. There's a stall called on the field. Uncontested stall.
Greta is such a sick player. Her mark is huge. I mean, she's just got such a long wingspan. It's nice to see her out there shutting down on D.
WUL on the mark against Eisenbray. Hugging it deep to Chung. Really nice read by Kat Chung there.
money. I mean, that's the thing about the Tempest offense, right? When it's firing, it's so quick that as a defender, it can feel hard. That's a one-throw score from a turnover. And Tempest had a really long way to go down the field, but Greta's such a good thrower, and Kat's a great receiver for those kinds of throws. So it's hard. It's hard out here.
Yeah, you know, I think that when you're putting together a team, you want to put together a team of players who have different skill sets. You know, and Eisenbright played with Oregon Onyx last year, is coming to Seattle with WUL experience, but is new to Tempest this year. And the thing that Eisenbright brings to this team is they bring that standstill pucking ability. And that's definitely something that works really well with this Tempest offense.
Absolutely. We've seen it with Jezierski. We've seen it with Rolling. Sue.
Absolutely. Super Bloom back on offense here. Opportunity to hold and tie up this game. Tempest really finding that their junk and zone looks, sort of alternating between a couple different looks, is successfully doing what they're looking for it to do, which is slowing down the pace of the Super Bloom offense. You know, Super Bloom also likes to have this standstill huck game, driving the pace of the offense, but they're making them take a lot of turns. And so we have that, you know, we have that drop by Helm there. And it gives Tempest that opportunity. Block.
You know, one of the unglamorous jobs in that zone that Tempest just threw is to be the mid row. You don't always get a lot of blocks, but you're responsible for such a big part of the defense, which is making those throws to the midfield look unappealing. And I just want to shout out that middle row, which is I think Rodenberg and Meyer, and maybe it's someone else on that far side who just made it hard. And also shout out to Super Bloom for getting that right back.
Yeah, I mean, that was a great D by Super Bloom, right? You had the aggressive mark on Lanier that, you know, forced the high pressure throw. And if, you know, there hadn't been a solid Iwamoto with the run through block in the end zone, you know, like knocking it out of bounds to secure this possession for Super Bloom.
Yeah, I just want to say the other defender in that middle wall is Cheryl Sue. And they're working.
Fun scooper from Jones there. But again, you know, you have your offense sort of trapped on that sideline.
What a throw.
Iwamoto is just slicing through that three-person cup and is an absolute beauty. Tempest has isolated, gone to person, but, you know, not super smartly, left Jones unguarded. Moving the disc back to Helton, across to Helm.
It's another example, I think, of a thing that Tempest can tighten up again is that transition from zone to person has, on a couple of occasions, left someone on Super Bloom unguarded, and it's just, yeah, Super Bloom is punishing Tempest for that.
In the back of the field, you have Ellie Mellick, you know, trailing in the back of that stack. So, like, being ready to be an outlet option. But that outlet option is not needed. We have Jones to Walter for... Jones to Bile for the score for Super Bloom. We are tied at 12, halfway through this third quarter.
That was a great grab from Jones under pressure from Rodenberg.
You can see, and maybe even hear, this Tempest home crowd getting fired up, trying to amp up this home team, hoping that they're gonna, you know, put more pressure on. We got a little bit more activity happening from over here. Some smoke going. Let's take a moment to think about how the season has changed for the WUL. So this year, with only 6 teams, we have 2 conferences again, the Northwest Conference and the Southwest Conference. The teams and each team will play 2 games against conference opponents, and they will get So they'll have a home and away game against their in-conference opponents, and they will get 1 game or 2 games against out-of-conference opponents. So this is an out-of-conference game for Super Blue and Tempest here. Super Bloom able to working to capitalize off of that turn from Tempest. And did Tremonti get a hand on that? Or is that simply a drop?
I might have been a drop. I think we have 1 drop for 1 drop on this point.
Lim with the disc, that slicing inside, deep around from Jazerski. Incomplete to Tremonti there. Going back to season structure, at the end of the regular season, the top 2 teams from each of the conferences will have the opportunity to compete at championship weekend. You know, both Super Blue and Tempest have made appearances and been in the finals for championship weekend, so we can expect that both of these teams will be expecting to come back. Pajunas with the disc for Super Bloom.
Great work for Super Bloom, number 25, just open all day, under, deep, really putting her defender through the paces.
Tremonti with that block. Shout out to the Super Bloom mark there. You can tell that Jazerski was looking to hook her backhand, and that immediate flash to the backhand side stopped the initial hook from Jazerski, and then again on the hook that Jazerski put up, had her release point go higher than she wanted it to, which is actually what caused that throw to be not as smooth as Jazerski's hooks often are, which is what generated this offensive opportunity for Super Bloom. Super Bloom offense dinking and dunking around their defending end zone. Pajunas flick huck deep to another receiver. Opportunity for Tempest. Cherry and Lim in the backfield for Tempest.
It's a nice inside.
Yasun Lee wearing number 81, my number. I feel so much love for Yasun Lee, another Tempest rookie. Big throw to Baroma there. Three minutes left. We have a stoppage of play. Tremonti with the disc. Some conversation around what that stoppage is.
I think that might have been Crowley with the catch and then the dish to Tremonti.
Great.
Love to see all the Tempest rookies showing out, doing hard work.
Ultimate is a self-officiated sport. You know, we do have the observers here to guide us, like sort of ask questions to help support, make calls in specific instances, but do really appreciate that you can see the conversation happening between players to kind of figure out what is happening. Tremonti to Decker for that Tempest goal.
Really great end zone work there from Tempest. You want to just offer like clear cuts to your handler, and I feel like Decker coming right down the gut. It's a great cut.
13-12, Seattle over San Diego.
I'm curious what the Tempest coaching staff said at the halftime. I feel like Tempest came out with, just that little bit of confidence that I was mentioning. I feel like that was all that was needed, and now that they've got it, it feels like the energy of the game is much closer. I still feel like the game could go either way, but it certainly felt for at least a portion of the game that Super Bloom had kind of like a swagger and a calm energy about them. And now I feel like kind of both teams do.
Well, and it's always a hard thing as an away team. You know, as this crowd is getting louder, putting the pressure on, you flew either yesterday or this morning. You're having to combat all of that. Keep your energy up without the crowd behind you.
God, great work from the Super Bloom to move the disc wide and make that front wall work so hard and gain so many yards while you're doing it.
quick passes from Super Bloom. Helton shooting deep, looking for Ellie Melik. That connection, you can see Helton saying, oh, my bad. I need to put more float on that. But, you know, making Ellie Melik bid seems like it's a favorite thing for everyone to do. And Ellie Melik always showing up with
so good at it.
Really beautiful form.
Yeah.
Eisenberry with the disc for Tempest.
That's a fake.
Oh! That block by Iwamoto on Whippler. Iwamoto, let's go!
That is maybe tied with the Campana grab from the first half as my favorite play of the game so far.
Ellie Melik up to Zetner. Zetner did not complete that catch. Toe picking up, floating it to the middle of the field. Miscommunication gives Helton the shot to Jones. Jones for the goal. We are tied at 13. Under 2 minutes to go in the third quarter. So at this point in the game, you are Super Bloom. What's your defensive set here?
Do you know what? I think that the best way that Super Bloom has answered the shift in Tempest energy this quarter has not necessarily been a strategic adjustment, but just has been matching that intense energy. So if I'm Super Bloom, I'm saying tight person D this next point, and let's, like, you know, get in the heads of our defender or of our offensive players and show them that we mean business.
And I think that speaks to the conversations we had with both coaches before this game. We were asking them about specific matchups that they wanted to highlight it, and both sets of coaching staffs were like, matchups are great. We're gonna focus on us. We are going to play tight, and I trust all of my players to be able to match up with all of their players.
Right.
And so it is that exactly what you spoke to. It does look like we are playing mostly person. Had a couple people out in the lane. Tempest moving the disc up to Rolling. Back to Sue. Sue with that touch throw. Rolling didn't quite turn their head in time to see the edge of that disc to be able to make a play. Savinsky with the disc. Hannah with the disc there.
Thought Super Bloom did a really nice job of responding to that initial play call from the Tempest, which I think was a side stack. They really clogged up the middle of the field, and it was just through good throws that the Tempest was able to get the disc up that right sideline.
Tempest running starting at a vert stack there with a ton of space between the handlers and where the cutters are starting. Baroma around to Rolling for the Tempest score. Puts Tempest up 14-13 with 30 seconds to go.
Great work from both teams on that point. I think Super Bloom played really tight defense, and again, Tempest is just foot on the gas. Quick offense, making it really hard to respond defensively.
Tempest continuing to run their 3-line system like they talked about. Baroma out to Kirkland. Back to Baroma. Nice floaty. Rolling really fired up. I love, like, the palpable energy and body language that you can feel from Rolling when they're on the field, and they're like, let's go get this.
Totally. Also, second attempt from that, like, first throw by Sue just over Rolling's right shoulder. So a second attempt on that goal.
Again, Super Bloom with the opportunity to close out this quarter, tying. This is an important possession for them. They don't need to score on this possession, or they don't need to score before time runs out, but they need to keep the disc in their hands. High stall count there. High stall count throw there from Iwamoto. Up to Helton, doing a great job gaining yards. Jones shooting deep. And time expires as Helm comes down with it. That was a perfect play by San Diego, using up exactly as much time, not giving Tempest the opportunity to respond.
Yeah, I think Helm's distance from her defender on that on that deep cut was really nice. Makes it easy for your thrower. And as you're on the field and the time is winding down, you want to make sure that you're taking, you know, high percentage shots. And I think Helm did a really good job to set that up as a high percentage shot for her thrower.
We are at the end of the third quarter here. San Diego versus Seattle Tempest. Like, what is gonna happen? I can't wait to find out. Stick with us.
In pursuit, but it is caught. Teresa Zettner.
What an incredible!
Oh, my goodness, the layout grab from Kristen Pajunas.
I just stood up. I couldn't even sit for that. First of all, the angle of that throw. Second of all, the finish. And watch the inside out. Just look at the angle of this throw. What a great grab.
Hi, I'm Cheryl Sue, and I'm number 24. I'm feeling pretty excited about this season. I love to travel and play high-level competition and play in front of amazing fans. Some personal goals in mind. I want to lead, by example, work hard, and connect with teammates, whether that's on or off the field. I think this team is capable of making championship weekend again, but I personally like to focus on the process. No team is the same as the years before. Every season is a new experience. I'm excited to continue to build chemistry and dial in our systems. Hi, I'm Cheryl Sue, and I'm number 20.
We are here. Seattle, San Diego, tied coming into the fourth quarter. These teams both want it so badly. They are here to fight. They are showing up. My name is Charlie Mercer. I am here with Val Pineos, and we are stoked to bring you this fourth quarter of this game. We're starting off, sending big shots from Ellie Mellick, going to Helton. Super Bloom starting on offense, showing that they are unafraid to keep sending up those deep shots, trying to push the pace, playing that field position game.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that this fourth quarter is really going to show us which team has the staying power to keep the energy and intensity. Because I would say, without a doubt, Super Bloom came out really, really hot. And I think that third quarter kind of shifted in the Tempest direction. And I'm curious to see what we do with this last quarter.
That turn, yes, we had two Super Bloom players putting the pressure on the receiver, but it was really made possible by Ellie Mellick's D on Eisenbray that just shut down Eisenbray and forced that high stall count throw to coverage. Walter to Ellie Mellick. Campana with the almost block, but not quite. Just staying with Ellie Mellick just outside of the end zone. Helton goes for the one-handed catch, incomplete. Elmi picking up, again trying to push the pace. Cho looking to huck it. Two receivers, both Eisenbray and Wickler.
Seems like there's a call on the first throw or something way earlier.
Observers waving their hands, trying to get play to stop. Most of the field not ready to stop. They are ready. That's like that fire that we're talking about. Play doesn't stop. Keep fighting.
Nice throw from the observer.
So it looks like, my guess, if we went back here, there must have been probably a foul call from Ellie Mellick on that throw to Helton that Helton didn't complete. So it looks like Super Bloom is keeping possession of the disc, resetting with the opportunity to put that disc in and take the lead back.
Absolutely. It's nice to be back on your goal line. after thinking, at least for the rest of the field, that the disc was in the other team's possession and on their 30.
Walter lined up as that first reset option. Busting up line with Eisenbray as the defense. But Helton finding that front cone, that sort of pocket grab for the San Diego goal. They have taken the lead back, 15-14.
See Whipfler right on Helton trying to get that run through D, but it's, you want to always be making a safe play there, and I think shout out to Whipfler for the body control and awareness.
Also, really appreciate, Ellie Mellick has the disc in that backhand grip. So instead of pivoting and throwing a forehand up the line, just has that sort of like inside backhand leading pass to the corner.
Totally. Sometimes you just got to get the disc out of your hands. Whatever grip, whatever it takes.
Well, 7 second stall count. It goes by so quickly, and you just got to get the disc out of your hand as they're about to get to that next number.
Absolutely.
Opportunity for Tempest to respond. Tempest is really going to need their patience, possession oriented here to make a difference to close this point. 10 minutes left in the fourth quarter. All of the games played so far today have been really close. We are now getting to the point where every point, every possession really matters. You're running out of runway between these two teams. Sue finding Kirkland. Kirkland shooting to Rodenberg. Rodenberg with a one-handed trailing edge grab.
Plus a barrel roll for good measure. Oh my.
Rodenberg.
Spicy inside. I think there might have been a timeout called before the throw.
Oh.
If the whistle is what I heard.
Conversation on the field about what is happening. Here's that replay of that throw from Rodenberg to Lanier. Lanier able to catch that sort of almost behind them play. Looks like you are correct, and we are going into a timeout. That was not a goal.
Oh, so brutal, right? As a coach, we talked about it earlier on the stream, you want to make the decision to use your timeout when it's advantageous for your team, let you reset your stall, and get fresh legs on the field. And sometimes that means making a decision to call a timeout right when your players are going to do something crazy and cool. And that's what happened here.
But it does look like the Tempest coaching staff is rewarding that Tempest line by letting them stay on the field. They are not using that ability to sub players out. They're like, okay, you're about to score. We trust you. We believe that you have this under control.
Yeah, and I know the Tempest spends at least a little bit of time every practice working on their end zone. And so I know that they've got a calm, cool, collected energy that they're going to bring to this end zone set. And I'm keen to see what the Super Bloom defense is, right? You get a second chance to get a block here.
Yeah, you can see Carlo Mosca there as the defensive specialist for Super Bloom this season, sort of guiding them in what he wants. What's gonna happen there? Ellie Mellick with a huge wingspan guarding Sue to start off with. That's a really fun matchup. Rodenberg back there. Blade from rolling to Baroma, incomplete. That gives Super Bloom that opportunity.
Interesting, the Tempest. I mean, maybe it's the, commentator's curse. I jinxed them, but it seemed like their end zone set was a little bit squirrely in the front and not a lot of work on the, far side. Ooh, so close.
Super Bloom playing around with their, close to their end zone. Now finally able to break the disc open, moving the disc laterally across the field, which gives them the opportunity to shoot downfield. That was Schiltz to Ellie Mellick.
Great read by Ellie Mellick.
Out to Pajunas, centering, or back more toward the middle of the field to Helton, just outside of the end zone. Quick tip to Pajunas. Rodenberg bidding, unsuccessful. Pajunas closes it out. That was a big one from Super Bloom. Way to like firmly march it all the way down the field. What a decisive possession.
So wild that one timeout call can take you from possibly being 15-15 to 16-14.
Great trust between Helton and Pajunas. I was crunching the numbers for before this game of the players who are on this field. And I was like, how experienced are, how old, how long have these players been playing? On both rosters, the average age of the game day rosters for both Tempest and Super Bloom is about 27. Super Bloom's is 27.6, Tempest is 27.3 as their average age, which I think is just kind of a, like, I think about it in terms of the amount of time they've spent playing together, like that experience in so many different realms of Ultimate, the chemistry that you're able to make, like what we just saw between Helton and Pajunas. We've seen it for Tempest as well.
Absolutely. Seems like there might be some trainer attention to one of the Super Bloom players on their end zone.
Yeah, it does look like that's Iwamoto that is sitting on the field. Is definitely creating this pause in play for us here. Super Bloom had too many players on that line, but they are now clearing off the field as they are getting ready with the current line to continue play. Hopefully Iwamoto is okay. Has really been essential to the Super Bloom offense. 8 minutes left. Ellie Mellick with a beautiful pull. This 80-yard field, like the ability to pull end zone to end zone, which is just about what Ellie Mellick did, is just so clutch.
Wow.
Oh, Lim with that slicing inside to Juzerski. Juzerski putting up their backhand. Ellie Mellick pulling Decker out of position. Not touching the disc on that D, but able to get the block by pulling her out of position. Super Bloom with another opportunity to break here.
Really great defensive work by Super Bloom. Also, there was another Super Bloom defender within a couple steps, and I've just been impressed with the way they've managed to get a couple jerseys under each disc when they're playing D.
Hannah working it in the backfield. Oh, great bid by Decker. Helm with the bobble and drop there.
Great pressure by Crowley.
Cherry, another left-handed player, loves that flick, lefty flick around.
It is the Emily Decker show right now for the Tempest. Just working so hard on this point.
Stall called. Tremonti has the disc here, and I just want to highlight Tremonti, who has been playing for a long time, is commuting from Spokane, Washington to be able to practice and play. You know, I played for a long time, now retired, former Tempest player, but I played against Tremonti, I don't know, almost 10 years ago, and is, you know, an example of a player who has like a wealth of experience coming over to this Tempest roster for the first time this year, definitely making an impact.
Seems like there again might have been a timeout called. I'm not sure if it was the Super Bloom or the Tempest timeout. Oh.
Play on called. Jones picking up the disc. Super Bloom with the opportunity. And there's the whistle. Looks like Super Bloom had to establish possession of the disc for the Super Bloom coaching staff to be able to call that timeout. So Jones had to physically pick up the disc to start the possession before that timeout could be listed as a valid timeout. But now we are in the timeout.
Absolutely.
What are your thoughts coming in? 7 minutes left. Your Tempest, what do you do here?
You know, if I'm being honest, as a Tempest player, I am trying not to think about the timeout call right before the goal. I think that can be such a, like, slam on the brakes moment in terms of the energy and sort of your mental game. So if I'm Tempest, I'm goldfish brain right now. I'm forgetting that happened and remembering that, you know, coming into the third quarter, I think Tempest scored 3 points in like 3 minutes or 4 minutes so quickly. And so that idea that the lead switch could happen at any moment, I think it's all mental, right? I think the thing with Tempest is not that they need to tighten up a particular skill set. It's all about staying locked in mentally and keeping the confidence.
Love it. Also, quick correction from me from earlier. Coach Carlo is their offensive specialist, and Coach Amy Slaybach is their defensive specialist for Super Bloom this year. And I really love how the Super Bloom coaching staff has kind of like isolated the different roles for different players on this team to give, certain individuals of the coaching staff sort of autonomy and expertise or like agency over different segments of the offense.
Interesting to see how the Super Bloom cutters set up in that post back, just 5 yards off of the throwers.
That was Walter with the deep look there. Too short.
I think a Tempest player got a hand on it, I think. Yeah, a tip. Might have been by Kat Chung.
Elmi on the sideline working with Eisenbray. Elmi puts it deep.
Uncontested stall, I think.
I gotta say, Eisenbray in the reset is a challenge for Super Bloom, or is a challenge for Tempest. Super Bloom is doing a great job shutting down Eisenbray in that reset space, and they have gotten a number of either stalls or like high stall count sort of chucks because that reset wasn't going off. And like putting players like Helton or Ellie Mellick on Eisenbray from Super Bloom is what's generating these turns.
Yeah, interesting. I also think that like Elmi's superpower in the handler space is kind of her ability to get like a quick around off. And I think Greta's superpowers, or Eisenbray's superpowers in the handler space are, her big throws and that sometimes getting those superpowers to mesh, especially with tight Super Bloom defense, can be hard. And I think, like I said earlier, this is the first game of the season. I'm excited to see how this chemistry builds and how we, find a way to see those superpowers complement each other.
So that was a contested stall, which is why Disc is starting outside of the Super Bloom end zone. Super Bloom with possession. Big look downfield. Does tail out of bounds. Ooh, but that was an Ellie Mellick matchup. Ooh, give me more of that.
That is honestly a masterclass. ID's defense is a masterclass in repositioning because as they're getting closer to the disc, ID's taking a different angle each time to try and get Ellie Mellick off the disc. And like, yeah, if you can go back and watch that, that's the kind of D you want to be playing.
But I do appreciate that Super Bloom switched Ellie Mellick onto Eisenbray here and off of ID to put Ellie Mellick's mark on Eisenbray, knowing that Eisenbray really likes those standstill hucks.
Yeah.
Jones with that D.
Oh, so close from Kat Chung.
We have a stall called here with ID on Jones. Some conversation happening. You can feel the energy ramping up. Like, it is palpable. We do have, it looks like Ava Hanna on the ground. We hope they are okay.
Maybe a cramp. Yeah, I mean, I think this is one of those moments in the fourth quarter where both teams are fighting for the top spot with like having the energy, and it's cool as someone who's watching the game to see them battling it out.
So that stall was called. What is going to the observer? Does look like it is a cramp on the field. 5 minutes left. Super Bloom up 16-14. So looking at their season results from last year, Super Bloom ended the 2023 regular season with a goal differential of +38. And Tempest ended the 2023 season with a goal differential of +22. You know, both teams known, you know, ended the regular season at 6-2 records, like winning most of their games, but Super Bloom really winning them by many, many points. And I think that's something that's interesting here, is that we do have a really close game. Like, neither team is going to walk out of this game with a large goal differential, either plus or minus. Disc with Tempest, Elmi to Idy. Idy catches it one-handed. Quick dish to Laura Toe. Decisive response from Tempest.
Yeah, I mean, to your point about the goal differential thing, I think the level of play is just rising across the league. It's shown by the close score lines of the other games today. It's exciting to see such ballers in this league. And yeah, Laura Toe with the spike. Love that.
Oh. Here we see that really great step-out pivot from Idy back to Elmi, putting it out to space for Idy. Idy really attacking that disc. Quick dish to Laura Toe, who's cutting to the front of the end zone there. Really great work. Oh, just under 5 minutes left. 1-goal game. Who do you think's in control at this moment?
I think it's up for grabs. I think that point was each team kind of like taking the energy lead from the other back and forth. I guess I would say right now, maybe because Tempest just scored, they've got a small energy gain, but could go either way.
Disc back with Iwamoto. Far sideline. Nice over the players. Moving, Super Bloom really doing a great job moving the disc laterally, breaking Tempest out of their comfort zone, creating the space through the leading passes. Nice slicing inside. Abrams with the disc now. Oh! Roma tries to get the block. Zedner was able to get it, but Zedner throws that turn. Tempest with the opportunity to tie this game. Rolling, so ready for that backhand hook. Helton did a great job flashing into that lane to stop Rolling's hook. Sue, unafraid to put it. Sue looking for Baroma, incomplete, too far. Baroma can't quite get there.
Yeah, I think there were a couple moments out of that transition where Tempest could have put up a deep shot, but some combination of cutters not realizing the handlers were ready to go, or handlers not realizing their cutters were deep. By the time that went off from Sue, Baroma had already made 2.5 deep cuts at that point. A lot of work.
Sue forcing Abrams backfield. Abrams happy to take that space in the backfield. Out to Bile, out to Helton, up to Helm. Ellie Melick and rolling really tight on Ellie Melick. Shooting it deep to Iwamoto. Whoa, Iwamoto as the deep receiver, not the handler.
With a full speed clap catch. Crazy.
Phenomenal. Out to Bile for the score. San Diego up 17-15. I really love when those handlers push downfield. You know, like that. Normally we see Ellie Melick getting all of the goals and Iwamoto throwing all the goals, and that little flippy flip reverse there, real fun from Super Bloom.
Absolutely. Love to see a handler in their cutter era, even if it's for 4 seconds in a point. Like, I love that. We contain multitudes.
Are we going to go on the Arrows tour here?
Maybe.
Take a look at that lovely replay. The touch on Ellie Melick's throw. And, you know, Iwamoto's ability to kind of see the separation that Bile has on their defender and just put that out to space. Cherry up to limb for Tempest. Super Bloom having a sort of a clam of their own to sort of pick up their players. Tremonti isolated in space, did a great job gaining yards there. What a bid from Helton. Juzerski holds onto it. Back to Cherry, over to Lim. Moving the disc. Those handlers playing catch. Juzerski throwing it around. That shot was for Crowley. Incomplete, went over Crowley's head there.
Juzerski just did basically a 40-yard sprint. Standing on the far sideline, swung it, came and received the second swing from Lim. A lot of hard work.
Helton boosting it. Unfortunately, boosting it to Tempest player Cherry, who is not their intended target. Trying to drive the Super Boom offense a little bit too quickly. Receiver's not quite ready for it. Cherry moving the disc laterally to Lim. Lim with their inside forehand that they throw, 90% of the time.
Pick called, Super Bloom.
If you take a look on that far side of the field, we have 2 Super Boom players guarding Baroma, but we have Decker totally open right now.
Injury call to Junis, I think, number 4.
Shout out to the observer on the field right there. Kuda right there, very pregnant. Hooray for still continuing to be involved in women's and non-binary professional ultimate, regardless of your pregnancy status. Appreciation, Akuda. As someone with a 1-month-old, I appreciate it. Shout out to my baby Hayden. Decker with the disc on the sideline. Lim now, back to Cherry.
Super Bloom doing such a good job of cutting off like the first, second, and third looks for the Tempest O.
But that block by Helton is showing why Helton was the league MVP from last year. Snagging that disc out of the air over Decker. Keeping the disc in Super Bloom's hands with 1 minute left here. Super Bloom doesn't need to do anything fancy. They just need to keep possession. They are up by 2. They need to burn the clock here. And they have the ability to get their first win since the 2021 Winter Cup that wasn't part of the official WUL season yet because it was the sort of canceled COVID season.
Their first win against Tempest. Yet.
That was the end of that sentence that I haven't yet completed. Yes, thank you, Val.
Totally.
We are on the doors of some rivalry making stuff here. Stamba with the disc, Lim on the mark, timeout called, 1 minute left. San Diego up by 2. Seattle has to get a block, get a score, get another, ooh.
Tall order.
It does not seem like Tempest is going to be able to close this gap in the minute that is left. What do you think?
I say never say never. 58 second or 1:04. I think if Tempest can get a first throw block, convert quickly. Gosh, honestly, now that I'm saying it, that does seem kind of hard. I don't know. I hate to predict because you can never be sure, but I will say it seems like they are in a bit of a bind.
Tempest has had the most success defensively with some of their zone junk looks in making San Diego have to throw so many passes and sort of assuming that eventually they're going to have a miscue, a drop or something with the large volume of passes. But that's a slow way of getting a block. And what Tempest needs right now is a block quickly. So I expect that Tempest is going to come out with a person because you got to go big here.
Absolutely.
If you're San Diego, what are you thinking about right now?
I'm thinking about taking not just high percentage shots, I'm thinking about taking 100% shots. We don't have to do, if I'm Super Bloom, we don't have to do anything except play catch with our friends, do not do anything risky, throw the 100% shot. Not every single thing is going to be blocked. Yeah, if I'm Super Bloom, I'm extremely chilly. That's what I'm thinking.
Iwamoto out to Ali Melik. Ali Melik up to Helton. Super Bloom relying on their trusty stalwarts, the people that have made this team. To Jones. Up to Helton. Yeah, you know, they're not looking deep. Just throwing to open players. But Helton does overthrow it, rolling, catching it, up to Sue. Sue out to Lanier. Lanier unguarded, back to Sue.
We need to see more Tempest cuts in the end zone if they're going to try and make a comeback here.
Oh, but what a catch grab by Walter. Up to Jones. Not Walter, sorry, that was Bile with the D there. Jones with the disc. Time about to expire. Iwamoto with the disc. Up. Does not continue the possession. Calmly places the disc. You know, I think sometimes that like calm, like set the disc down is almost speaks louder than like the joyous celebration.
Absolutely. Wow, great work by Super Bloom.
We just saw history.
Yeah, really impressive the way that Super Bloom came out this game. There was a bit of a time there where Tempest seemed like they were going to get in driver's seat, and I think Super Bloom did a really good job of responding. And on the other hand, great work from Tempest to come out of that half and just come out swinging. And yeah, 17-15 is a great scoreline, and I'm excited to see how this rivalry kind of plays out over the rest of the season.
All of our games across the league have been within 1 or 2 points today, and I think that speaks volumes to what we can expect from the WUL this season. So much league competition, so much love, so much fire. Like we are in for a phenomenal 2024. Like, look at Super Bloom. They are ready to make, take names. Tempest showing that the depth of the Seattle scene. They can lose half their roster. They can bring in a bunch more players who are going to have an immediate impact on the field. Woo!
Such a good game. Also so happy for Super Bloom. It's just the joy that they have celebrating is so apparent, and I am a sucker for sports, and I love to see happy sports things.
Huge congratulations to Seattle Super Bloom for their 17-15 win over, Huge congratulations to San Diego Super Bloom over Seattle Tempest with their 17-15 win, making it the first time they have beaten Tempest in WUL history. Amazing work to both teams. So much grind, love, fight, fire. You can see the handshake happening here. There is more to come from this 2024 WUL season. My name is Charlie Mercer. I am here
with Val Pinillos.
And we will see you on that next Tempest game.